Hey everybody, welcome to Metals on the Move. My name is Gareth 𝗖𝗽𝗁𝗁 from verifiedinvesting.com. So in this video, we're going to cover the main metals, the main commodities, including uranium, gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. And let's get right into the action and take a look what the charts are telling us. So right here, we have the chart of gold, right? And if we look at the chart of gold here, it's very clear that we've had a major breakout, right? So we have this downsloping channel. We had the big dump out, and this often happens, folks, where they wash out the weak hands. This dump 9 consecutive red candles. It got the weak hands out. It's exactly what they want to do before they rally this thing and break it to the upside. Essentially, think about institutions. See these candles right here? There's tails on the top and bottom. Those are accumulation candles. So the panic sellers are selling. The institutions and smart money are just buying hand over fist. What happens? Gold rips to the upside and breaks out of this downsloping trend line. Now, the key here is, where's this thing going? Well, short term, I don't expect it to get back to the all-time highs right away, but that is ultimately where it's heading. Short term, you'll have a little bit of resistance right up in this range. You can see we hit that kind of today. There's secondary resistance around $1,980. And then eventually, what I expect to happen is eventually we will be getting back to those all-time highs. Last thing I'll say on gold here, guys, real quick. I continue to believe that we're in the process of a inverse head and shoulder pattern. Very clearly, shoulder, head, and then we're making the shoulder over here. And the break point is going to be the neckline, this triple top right up here. When that breaks out, the target for 2024, for me, I have it calculated out to about 2,400 to 2,500 on gold. All right, without further delay, let's jump over to silver, see what the silver chart is showing us. Silver remains in a bigger wedge pattern very clearly, and I could zoom out on this more and more, and you can just see how far this wedge pattern goes back. It's actually pretty remarkable. So you have this low going back to 2020 when COVID hit, back to these lows to there where we just hit off. Then you have these tops. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. All the way down in here, all the way here, and so on and so forth. Now, in general, this wedge pattern, to me, if you look at the bigger time frame, eventually breaks out. But again, it could take a little time. It's still trying to figure itself out here. But eventually, the target here is upside if you look at the bigger patterns. On we go to palladium here. Palladium, one of my most favorite charts at its low end here. I want to zoom out on this. In fact, let's go to the weekly chart. I just want to show you this chart here. So right now, if we go on this palladium chart, there's a couple trend lines. The first one we're currently at. This is the one that I really like. If you look at the high back in 2001, right there, this high on palladium, then we take this to this secondary pivot. It is a perfect straight line, and look at what we've retraced. Now, in general, charts act like this, right? You have resistance like this. This is a resistance line. Price comes up, pulls back, all right? Then it comes up and breaks out, and then eventually it retraces before the next move higher. That's exactly what we have here. Price hit here, it reattacked it here, it pulled back, it broke out, and now it's back to this level. So for me, when I look at metals, this is one of my favorite charts with massive amounts of upside, potentially a 3-bagger, just getting back to those highs on palladium. And let's not forget, palladium is actually rarer than gold, believe it or not. So kind of an interesting thought process there, even though the price of palladium is lower than the price of gold. Lastly, I want to quickly, in fact, not lastly, we'll do uranium last, but basically this is a chart of platinum, guys. And again, if we flip back, that's the monthly chart. Platinum, again, does not look great on the chart here. The basics of it are this, is that you have this wedge pattern, and we've broken below the wedge pattern now. So here's your wedge pattern low, low, high, high, right? And going all the way back to these levels. And you can see we've broken down. Now, again, I don't think, considering inflation probably gets sticky around 3%, I don't think there's a ton of downside here, but you might see movement down to about the 800 level on platinum here. Okay, and lastly, a quick little look at uranium. Uranium's chart's very cool. It had this beautiful wedge pattern that broke out, and you can see how wedge patterns work, right? So here's your bigger time frame. There's your wedge pattern. You can clearly see we broke out, we retraced, then we had this mega bull run, but look at where we stopped. Literally to the penny right up here. Now it's retracing. This is your first buy at 24 on the URA. That's the uranium ETF. If it gets through there, secondary support is going to be around 22.5 right down there. So those are your levels on the uranium chart for those of you looking to enter uranium. Remember, you never chase uranium when it's running up. Wait for the pullback. Inevitably, it'll come. You'll get a better opportunity. All right, flipping back to the main screen, guys. Again, here's some insightful things. I hope you learned a little bit about the chart action on the metals right here. Again, this is Metals on the Move. My name is Gareth 𝗖𝗽𝗁𝘁. Come visit me at 𝗵𝗧𝗿𝗂𝘀𝑰𝑑investing.com.